will be starting in 2 minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the afternoon session. So for this afternoon, there will be 2 panel discussion and a film screening. So the first panel is Where Has All the Land Gone? An update on regional land grabbing. And it's followed by the next panel discussion on the growing investments, the shrinking life security, the most concerning regional threat. And we will end the day by film screening on the face of the Mekong by Oxfam in Cambodia. So the first panel today is Where Has All the Land Gone? An update on regional land grabbing, and it is co-organized by Equitable Cambodia, RCSD, Chiang Mai University, and EEC Watch Thailand. So the panel is going to be moderated by Daniel Hayward from the Mekong Land Research Forum, RSD, Chiang Mai University. So Daniel, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, everybody in the room and also online. Welcome to you all, and thank you for joining us. As mentioned, this is a panel focused on the notion of land grabbing. As said, my name is Daniel Hayward. I'm based in Chiang Mai University at RCSD, and I'm the project coordinator of the Mekong Land Research Forum, which is a facility that helps with training on the topic of land and bringing together, collecting research on land from around the Mekong region. Now, for this session, we have 3 very interesting presentations and then some reflections on the topic of land grabbing. When we talk about, as an introduction, when we talk about land grabbing, it can be a rather elusive term to get hold of. Often people think of land grabs being an illegal action in taking someone else's land. The problem is that it can be illegal, but it can also take place within a legal system or in the absence of an effective legal system. But what generally we do see is most frequently the disenfranchisement and great effect on livelihoods of communities who previously were accessing or owning that land. Now, this can also play out in various different settings, and I think our 3 presentations today do a very nice job of covering these different settings. So for I'll introduce all our panelists first before we start. We have Mr. Chalem Chai Vajang from EEC Watch here in Thailand, who is going to be looking at, in a way, this is focusing on industrial development in the eastern seaboard in Thailand. The second presentation will be online via Zoom, we'll see on your screen, and Mr. Vichit Metaanangun, who is the mayor of Meram sub-district, just north of Chiang Mai. And this also covers the village of Monjem, which has recently been in the news, where forestry officials have moved in to demolish tourist structures. And this whole case brings up many issues of land use, land occupation within forest areas in Thailand. So we'll hear from him online in a bit, and we also have a video to see on this. Finally, with our third presentation, we will have Saw Ratanami Polka, who is a lawyer with Central Resources a community resources center here in Thailand, who is one of the lawyers involved in the court case against Mitrapon in Thailand from Cambodian communities from Oda Menche province. And she will also be joining us online. Once we had the three presentations, we're very honored to have Professor Emeritus Philip Hirsch from University of Sydney, also affiliated with Chiang Mai University, who will be giving some reflections and giving us a kind of a window through which we can open up into questions and discussion. So hopefully that gives you an overview of what will happen today. I should stop and hand over to the presenters. So first of all, we have Pet, Mr. Chalerm Chai Vajang on behalf of EEC. I give you the floor. Thank you so much.
ครับผมขอบคุณแดเนียลมากนะครับผมครับผมขอพรีเซนต์เป็นภาษาไทยนะครับผมก็วันนี้
Thank you very much. My name is Chalerm Chai Vajang from Landwalk. We have been monitoring the impact from the government development project as well as the private sector's investment project that in the area that affect the land ownership and land use in the situation. First, I would like to present the overview of the land utilization. In Thailand, we have like about 320 million right, or like 1 square meter is equal to 625 right. The land will be divided into different forms. For example, the public land, which is governed by the forestry department, the natural resources authorities, and there are almost 200 million or 60% of right, or the about 60% of the land in the government's possession. After the coup d'etat in 2014, we have seen a lot of arbitrary and probably extrajudicial orders regarding the land management. I would like to cite several examples. The Article 64/2014 and 66/2014, which have affected people, especially the forest dweller in many areas. One of the things that we have observed after the coup d'etat in 2014 by General Prayut Chan-o-cha is the use of the militaristic powers, as well as and co-opting with the private sector, for example, giving concession in the national forest area to private company. On the other hand, there are people that have been affected by the forest reclamation program, or even the government allow the stone milling in the A1 class wetland. Therefore, we can see that the government discriminatively treated people with different land possession type. For example, the rest of forest dweller, while the government promoted over 200,000 of national forest area for the extractive industry. The project that investment and extractive industry have been promoted. For example, Wang Tanod, this photo is from Sub Nakasitian in the. There are different development projects involved the extractive industry and the utilization of the forest area through the SESAT program. The use of SESAT have started just 1 month after the coup d'etat. For example, the order number 71/2014 and the use of order in order to enforce the economic zone. The government has to develop project as well and reclamation. However, the development of special economic zone as well as foreign investment is zero. Nobody invests, especially foreign direct investment in the special economic zone, especially the one at the border. Therefore, the government have enacted another law called the Eastern Economic Corridor, which have been enacted in 2018. Therefore, this EEC have been enacted as an area to attract foreign direct investment in the eastern province, Chacheongseao, Chonburi, and Rayong provinces in order to develop the area and attract foreign direct investment. For example, the development of the mega-scale infrastructure, namely the deep sea port, Lam Chabang Phase 3, Utapao Deep Sea Port, and airport rail link, as well as Utapao Airport, which will connecting the area to Bangkok. The government have enacted many laws, especially during the EO era, through the National Legislative Assembly, which are not elected. During the past 5 years, they have issued over 300 laws, enacting or revising existing law and enacting new laws for the development of the Eastern Economic Corridors. The land use have been changes through this law and legislation. For example, the 2009 Reclamation Act. For example, this act said that the reclamation can be possible by public interest. However, the land utilization for public purposes have been revised to include special economic zone. Therefore, have been permitted to change despite it have not been for the public interest but for the private sectors. For example, in Chacheongseao, which is a designated farming area, paddy fields as well as agricultural area, the land utilization coding have been changed for fostering industry development. The land grabbing in Thailand, therefore, reflected the use of legislative measures in order to implement the special economic zone. On the 20th of September 2022, Cabinet of Ministers have acknowledged economic and special development enactment is South area to be for economic corridor. So from this development, we need to monitor. The Eastern Economic Corridor is a in the government as a west. Therefore, we should monitor the use of and the impact. I think we should implement the strategic, the SIA, the strategic impact assessment, and we have to closely monitor the change of land usage regulation from the government.
ยังมีความน่ากังวลแล้วก็มี
Land grabbing in Thailand is still a major concern, especially the EEZ as well as the border special economic zone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your presentation. Before we move on, I would like to ask one question, if that's okay. My interest is, obviously there's been lots of, you speak about various laws and the implementation of special economic zones since the junta took power in 2014. What space has there been for civil society to challenge these instances of land grabbing or acquisition for these developments? Thank you.
โอเคครับสำหรับภาคประชาสังคมเองทั้งตัว Land Watch ไทยที่ทำงานติดตาม
พิเศษ EEC Watch ที่ดูเรื่องนี้ในพื้นที่ของ EEC โดยตรงเนี่ยเราก็ได้
The civil society organization and my network have
ยื่นศาลปกครองเพื่อฟ้องต่อการเปลี่ยนแปลงสีผังเมืองที่
lodge complaint to the administrative court in order to have a judiciary oversight regarding to implement the statute before enforcing the Eastern Economic Corridor.
Thank you very much. We will keep tabs on this, and please, everybody, keep your questions. We'll be coming to the audience a bit later for questions on this. Also, I'm not sure what the policy is for questions online, whether people are posting on Facebook, but I know there is a facility to do that. Otherwise, we will move on to the next speaker, who I see is still with us online. Actually, in a minute we will hear from Mr. Vichit Meta-Anangun from Merem's sub-district. To help set the scene, we'd actually like to show a video. It's a 4.5-minute video excerpt from what is an excellent film just put together by Chiang Mai University. The film is called Nurturing Lives in the Forest, and I think it does a very good job of working through some of the issues about for what is a Hmong community in this village of Mon Jam. So I hope we are able to show this video.
ที่ทำกินของชาวบ้านณปัจจุบันก็จะมีส่วนหนึ่งที่อยู่ในเขตพื้นที่ป่าสงวนแล้วก็อีกส่วนหนึ่งจะอยู่ในเขตพื้นที่อุทยานแต่ว่าในมุมมองของชาวบ้านเนี่ยก็คือว่าเราอยู่กันมาก่อนหน้านั้นเพียงแต่ว่าการประกาศเขตพื้นที่ป่าเนี่ยก็จะมาตามมาทีหลังพวกเราไม่มีสิทธิ์ในพื้นที่ทำกินดั้งเดิมของเราตั้งแต่แรกไม่มีเอกสารสิทธิ์ไม่มีมากที่สุดก็คือแผนที่รังวัดของกรมป่าไม้ที่กันพื้นที่ออกจากป่าเท่านั้นเองเหมือนกับเขาอนุโลมให้เราทำกินอยู่ในพื้นที่กรอบตรงนี้ที่เขามารังวัดและกันไว้ให้เท่านั้นทำกินแบบรูปแบบการเกษตรแบบเดิมๆก็ยังทำได้อยู่มันก็จะยังมีปัญหาอีกด้านหนึ่งด้วยที่ว่ากฎหมายเนี่ยระบุค่อนข้างจะแคบไปหน่อยว่าบรรพบุรุษอยู่มาก่อนแล้วทายาทสามารถที่จะสืบต่อได้จากคนรุ่นหนึ่งสู่รุ่นหนึ่ง1 คนผู้ชาย1 คนอาจจะมีลูกชายอีก3 คน 4 คน 5 คนขนาดพื้นที่ก็ต้องถูกซอยย่อยลงเล็กลงประสิทธิภาพในการใช้พื้นที่เพื่อที่จะเลี้ยงชีพตัวเองมันก็ต้องยิ่งยากขึ้นเรื่องการขยายพื้นที่เนี่ยเราไม่ได้เรียกร้องที่จะขยายพื้นที่นะคือมันเป็นไปไม่ได้เราเข้าใจว่าเราจะต้องรักษาป่าพื้นที่ป่ามันมีจำกัดมันต้องมีกระบวนการในการจัดการแบบอื่นด้วยอย่างเช่นเปลี่ยนแปลงรูปแบบการใช้พื้นที่ถ้าเกิดว่าจะทำอะไรให้มันใช้พื้นที่เท่าเดิมแล้วก็ได้ประสิทธิภาพมากขึ้นสามารถที่จะสร้างรายได้มากขึ้นที่จะเลี้ยง คนได้มากขึ้นอันนี้มันก็จะเป็นทางออกได้พศ 2535 กรมหลวงก็ส่งเสริมการท่องเที่ยวนะครับซึ่งโครงการท่องเที่ยวตามรอยพระบาทแต่สำหรับม่อนแจ่มเนี่ยการท่องเที่ยวก็จะคือจริงๆน่าจะปีพศ 2548 คนจะมาเที่ยวที่นี่เยอะมากเราก็เลยมาสร้างที่พักคนละ 2-3 หลัง 4-5 หลังจนก็ตรงตั้งแต่ปี 52 ขึ้นมาก็จะเป็นเริ่มไปสู่การท่องเที่ยวแบบสมบูรณ์แบบที่นี่เนี่ยบ้านพักตามที่ป่าไม้ได้สำรวจไว้น่าจะ1,200 ห้องได้ประมาณมีคนอยู่ 3,500 คนเราจะใช้พื้นที่เท่าเดิม 2,800 ไร่ตั้งแต่ปี 45 มาเนี่ยไม่สามารถเลี้ยงคนในครอบครัวได้
ผมได้ยินแม่พูดตลอดเวลากรอกคือว่าไม่มีข้าวกินแล้วไม่มีข้าวกินแล้วจะทำยังไงนะครับมันไม่มีข้าวกินเพราะว่าเราไม่ใช่ว่าเพราะเราไม่ทำนะครับแต่ปัญหาของมันคือที่เราไม่มีข้าวกินเพราะนโยบายของรัฐที่มากระทบกับเรานะครับเราเข้าพื้นที่ไม่ได้ป่าไม้มาจับเพราะว่าเมื่อก่อนเราเด็กเราก็ไม่รู้พ่อแม่ก็อธิบายว่าอ๋อเมื่อก่อนเป็นของเรานะแต่เขามายึดไปหมดแล้วแต่ตอนนี้ถ้าผมย้อนกลับไปดูภาพถ่ายทางอากาศเนี่ยช่วงนั้นเนี่ยที่ทำกินของม่อนแจ่มเนี่ยมันจะมีประมาณสัก 4,000 ไร่นะครับหลังจากนั้นก็โดนยึดไล่ลงมาก็จะเหลือประมาณ 2,800 ไร่ณปัจจุบันนี้นะครับ
ที่ภาคกลางจริงแล้วไม่วุ่นวายเท่าไหร่แต่ว่ามันวุ่นวายจริงๆเนี่ยมาช่วงที่ป่าไม้เริ่มลุกเข้าไปในที่อยู่อาศัยเราสร้างบ้านอยู่อาศัยก็ถูกดำเนินคดีนี่แหละชาวบ้านก็บอกว่าไม่สามารถยอมรับได้เขาเป็นชนเผ่ามงชนเผ่าดั้งเดิมเขาอยู่ในที่ดินเขามา100 กว่าปีเขาไม่สมควรที่จะถูกดำเนินคดี
ทางราชการเนี่ยบอกว่าชาติพันธุ์ม้งที่ม่อนแจ่มเนี่ยไม่สามารถสร้างบ้านขนาดใหญ่ได้มาตรฐานได้ถ้าเมื่อไหร่ก็ตามบ้านที่เป็นขนาดใหญ่หรือบ้านที่เป็นมาตรฐานเนี่ยมันไม่ใช่ของม้งเป็นของนายทุนวิวของเขาเนี่ยเขามองว่าม้งต้องไร้การศึกษาม้งต้องจนผมก็อยากจะย้อนถามว่าผมอายุ44-45เนี่ยผ่านมา40 ปีเนี่ยจะให้ชีวิตผมเหมือนเดิมจนเหมือนเดิมไร้การศึกษาเหมือนเดิมมันคงเป็นไปไม่ได้ทุกคนมันก็จะต้องพัฒนาตัวเองม้งก็เรียนโรงเรียนเดียวกับคุณแล้วเพราะฉะนั้นม้งก็มีสิทธิ์เท่าเทียมกับคุณนั่นแหละคุณไม่มีสิทธิ์ที่ไปแช่แข็งเขาวัฒนธรรมเขาให้เหมือนเดิมได้
So that was an excerpt of a longer film, about 15-minute film. We saw within the video Mr. Vichit, and I believe I can see he is with us on Zoom. So Mr. Vichit, if you would like to, I give you the floor to give some more details on the case. Thank you. We do not hear you. I think his microphone is on, and I spoke to him earlier on Zoom, and it was okay. He's sharing his screen, but we do not hear. Oh, he's now muted.
Hello, ครับ
Oh, hello, Diane Dai. Please, I think we can hear you. We give you the floor.
โอเคได้ยินไหมครับ
ได้
โอเคครับเดี๋ยวขอเริ่มเลยนะครับโอเค I have start ม่อนแจ่มครับม่อนแจ่มเนี่ยอย่างเมื่อกี้เราได้ดูวิดีโอกันแล้วนะครับ
I hope that you have watched our video on the Monjam communities
เกิดขึ้นแล้วเนี่ยจริงๆเนี่ยมันเกิดขึ้นตรงนั้นมากกว่า100
have been living in that area for more than 100 years and the Monjam community itself that they have been living there and they have been like well documented that the community have been living in this area so since 14 the problem in Monjam is the community have been living in that area, but the declaration of the Marine National Park in 1964 is actually like overlapping the area that the villager that they have lived, the king, the queen, as the member of the royal family visiting the area, as well as the establishment of the royal project in 1984. Since 1984, the tourism has been promoted by the royal project. Increasingly, the community members have relied on and start to use tourism. Then there was a conflict in the area in Monjam. So these are the key timeline in Monjam. In 1964, in which the national park area have been declared in the communities ethnic domain. But before that, we have second generation of village chief. For example, Mr. Chong Su. These are aerial photographs of the area. In 1952, these are the community, and you can see gradually that the community, the Weller, have been living in the area, in the same location, over different series of time, even before the national park area have been declared in the community. These are the photos that the royal family have visited on the 6th February of 1966. After that, in 1967, the late Princess Mother have visited the area, and the border patrol have been changed to honor her name. The royal project had tourism.
กระชับเข้าไปไวนิดหนึ่งก็คือว่าแล้วในเมื่อ
So I will just skip to different times. Because the indigenous domain have been the place that, for the people who have been living before the national park. After that, the royal project have promoted tourism. Therefore, people start their community tourism practices and industry. So after the tourism have been introduced to Monjam, has been conflict between the authorities and the people. You can see the excavators and heavy machineries that the authorities have used to demolish the internet mobile phone cell site. Therefore, people are deprived of internet and mobile phone access because the authorities said that these cell sites are illegal and these communication posts are illegal. This demolition of mobile phone cell site has been implemented to force people to go out of the area, as well as the cutting of the electricity in the area. So this is what the government has been doing to try to cut force people to evacuate. Unknown men have been sent to give verbal threat to the people. For example, like this, men said they will use violences against villagers if they refuse to move from their original village. The next action would be the next part would be the pressing charge against at least 24 electors in 27 cases in Monjam area. These people have faced the criminal charges. Besides the pressing charge, the authority through the forestry department have also demolished the people's area in Monjam. There are many cases that the resort or homestay have been demolished. The authorities, through the forest officials, have destroyed people's business area as well as the tourism business premises. The authorities' operation have resulted into the crash, and sometimes the authority have used the special forces to surround the cordon of the whole village for a dispatch for a short time, but that creates fear and intimidation. I don't know what the authority think, but they use the police SWAT special force, and this is what we have witnessed in the police and the Royal Forestry operation. We can see armaments, and they were like masked and mixed with the plain. You can see like the uniform and non-uniform people in the area. So these are different forms of the government's operation. For example, demolition of the mobile phone cell site, cutting off electricity, sending plainclothes men to threaten people, destroy the business of the villagers, and also the police operation with armed forces. And next, these are the action that people have to endure. And how do the people in the community have like the villagers and the community member does not have a lot of counter action or activities. They did not resort to violence, but they rally or protest in the town halls. So go to the resources department. Operation from the this is what they have. They march, they rally, they send grievance to different authorities to provide intervention. They also visit the central government. That on a technical team people do, they protest and they this is the for me what has been happening in Majam when use different operations and people using their resources mean they can states pressures the community members think that the clash
หมายความว่า
is
เราได้ยินข่าวหรือ
so if you
ในโซเชียลต่างๆ
have
มีอยู่คำห
heard
นึ่ง
from
ที่
the
รัฐ
news
สร้างความ
and
ก้าว
also
ร้าว
social
ขึ้นมา
media
ที่ม่อนแจ่ม
the
ว่า
state try to legitimate their
หมายความว่า
action
ถ้า
saying
ชาว
the
บ้าน
people
เนี่ย
have
ทำการท่องเที่ยว
misused
ประกอบการท่อง
the
เที่ยวเนี่ย
land utilization
บอกว่าผิด
in that zone for tourism. So you cannot have a tourism in the national park. If they practice monoculture or become like farmers, monoculture farmers, they can, you know, like they can be farmers. But it's wrong. It is illegal to use to practice tourism. But if they become like monoculture using like chemicals and pesticides, then they will be left alone because in that area, of course, it does not really have the value. It does not really can make a lot of profit for monoculture tourism. This land actually like become a high value tourism area. And the government kind of like dislike that the people have enjoyed this benefit. And of course, there are some business who, especially the owner of hospitality and tourism business in the cities, may feel the pressure of the small-scale tourism practices by the community member. These are the and the threat and intimidation against the people living of the resources management. The government probably think that the resource not be commercial very much.
So much. We are still waiting for our third presenter, but Mr. Richard, I will also come to the translator because I don't think he hears that line. But I have one question for you. No, because I don't think he has that line coming through Zoom. But I can give you the microphone. Okay. My question is, as a result of these protests, has there been any comment coming from the authorities? Has there been any chance for dialogue? What kind of impact has the protest had? I will have her translate this.
จากการที่เราไปชุมนุมหรือว่าไปประท้วงและยื่นหนังสือค่ะไม่ทราบว่าทางการเขามีการตอบรับมาหรือว่าทำอย่างไรบ้างคะจากการที่เราไปประท้วงหรือยื่นหนังสือ
Okay.
เอาจัดไปเฉพาะเอกสารที่อาจารย์ประสาทต้องเซ็นก็คือหลักฐานการจดทะเบียนมูลนิธิแต่สำเนาบัตรของอาจารย์แล้วก็สัญญาจ้างแล้วก็ตัว
Okay. So we will say, I will send a message to him and we will wait, if you bear with me one moment. Probably very badly. Mr. Vichit, do you Okay, if we just pause that for 1 second. Unfortunately, I think Mr. Vichit does not hear us. I have his dad. Although we can try and we hear you, but we. Okay, we will just. Okay. Whilst we see if Mr. Vichit responds, but I think not at the moment. I would just like to check. I see our next presenter is here. Saw, do you hear us? Saw, do you hear us? I see you are muted. Seemingly not. Okay, it would be great if we could find a way to communicate with, talk to people on Zoom, if that's possible. Otherwise, we cannot request.
ผมได้ยินครับ
โอเค ตอนนี้คือได้ยินคุณคำพลใช่ไหมคะกับคุณวิชิตอยู่ค่ะค่ะ แต่เสียงอื่นนั้นจะเป็นไกลๆมากอะค่ะ
If I, Mr. Vichit, ได้ยินไหม ไม่ได้ยินหรือ Saw, do you hear us here? Okay, it's apologies for this, everyone. We will hopefully sort this out in a moment. Either that or we can talk directly into a computer. I tried into my. Okay, let me try into my iPad.
ค่ะได้ยินไหมคะ
I heard Saw on my iPad, but not out here. Saw, ได้ยินไหม Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the challenge of a hybrid event.
ได้ยินเสียงจามอนเบาๆค่ะ
Oh, Saw, do you hear me now?
I hear you but not clearly.
Not clearly.
Yes, but I try. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we will move on to you. it would be great to hear a bit more about the origin of the case in Udamenche, the present situation, and also about the development of the court case.
Okay.
The
Okay.
floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
You can do
may I
in
speak
English
to-
or Thai, English, Phasa Angrit or Phasa Thai.
I can speak Thai or English. Okay, then sorry. I would like to speak Thai.
Thai.
โอเค ค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะ ก็ขออนุญาตต้องขอโทษด้วยนะคะ ที่ไม่สามารถเข้าไปร่วมในเวทีที่ที่งานได้นะคะขออนุญาตนำเสนอเรื่องของประเด็นกรณีเรื่องของที่ดินสัมปทานที่จังหวัดอุดรมีชัยในประเทศกัมพูชานะคะซึ่งทางชาวบ้านเนี่ยค่ะก็ได้มีการร้องเรียนว่า
Villagers were complaining that the concession, the land concession given to the Thai company has violated the right to land and also the violating natural resources and the people's human rights. There are 5 villages involved who has filed a class action against the company by reporting that the concession, even though it was on the land that the villagers do not have title for, but they have been living in the area. And the government has given the concession to the company, so the company should pay compensation for the loss of land to the villagers. On this issue, we as a legal assistance organization in Thailand has been contacted by an organization in Cambodia, and we would discuss the possibility of ensuring that the compensation is paid. And we looked at the law and we studied the law, and we found that so there is a law that says if a Thai person violates or committing something wrong in other countries, the victims can actually bring the case to the Thai court. So we use this channel to bring a group of Cambodian villagers to file a lawsuit in Thailand due to the loss of their land as a result of human rights violation and natural resources violation. This case actually was brought up to the Human Rights Commission, the Thai Human Rights Commission first, and the Human Rights Commission mentioned this in the report already, that investments of Thai companies has likely violated human rights of the people in the area. So they have proposed that the Thai government look after the Thai investment in other countries to be so So we are proposing that, but the Human Rights Commission does not have any authority to force the companies to pay. That's why we are filing a lawsuit in the Thai court as a class action. When we looked at how this could be done, and we found that from the survey, we found that over 700 families were affected by this problem. But we could not bring all the 700 families to Thailand to file a lawsuit. But while we were conducting studies, Thailand came out with this class action lawsuit that permitting that to happen. So we feel that this is an opportunity to use this channel for this Udon case in Thailand. It's a civil case, and the complaint is that the Thai company is the principal with the Cambodian company as the representative, has violated the human rights of the villagers in Cambodia, and the complainants are the Cambodians who were affected. And it can be seen that what types of damages have been caused, and that the actions that were conducted in the area were similar, so it can be a class action case. But after the first preliminary hearing, the court of the first instance said that it cannot be a class action because of the problem of being a cross-border case. So they, because they cannot examine the cases, and also maybe not all the members cannot have access to justice. So we appealed this judgment, and the appeal court actually accepted the case and said that the reason cited by the court of the first instance is a practical reason that can be dealt with. So it can be a class action because it's the action carried out by the same person, a company, with a widespread effect. So remedies can be prescribed. So that was in 2020. But after the case was filed, but in practice, there has to be a kind of an announcement to the public, so that other people who feel that they qualify to be a part of the complainant, the plaintiff, or those who are among the plaintiff can actually withdraw as well. So if the qualifications of the members, and if they are qualified, then whatever the result is from the court case can be applied to all the groups. But if they don't want to be involved, they can actually report to the court. And this was announced last year to the public, but no one no one pulled out of the case. So the court will proceed further. The next step is that after the announcement was made according to the timeline and all that, then the court has to order the examination of the evidences of both the plaintiff and the defendant. And on this examination of evidence is quite challenging because it's a cross-border case and all the documents are in a foreign language, so they need to be translated into Thai because the Thai court only receives documents in Thai that has been translated in Thai. So we have the duty to translate all the documents into Thai, even though it's in English or Cambodian or originally. And what is most important is that in order to gather all the evidence to prove that a Cambodian company that was registered was actually a part of the company of the Thai company, and that they have also to be responsible to. So this step is still in progress. No appointment or not has been done yet in terms of for the date of the evidence examination. Yesterday, representatives from both sides went to court to tell the court the progress so far about evidence examination, and they agree, both sides agree that the gathering of all the evidence is still in progress and it will need more time. So we asked for postponement to 25th of January next year, and that will be the date when both sides will report to the court whether they are ready for evidence examination. And we should know by next month whether we're going to be ready, and we think the actual examination of evidence could be in March next year, March or April next year, and then the court will come out with the schedule for hearings on both sides. So we anticipate that the hearings of the witnesses and evidence will be carried out throughout next year, 2024, so 23. So now we also had the COVID situation that actually kept us kind of later than usual, but we expect that the case would receive justice in the Thai court, because right now Thailand already has accepted the guiding principles of business and human rights to implement in Thailand already. So there is already a national action plan for this. So we hope that extraterritorial responsibility will become a reality. Thank you very much.
So I hope you can hear me. Thank you so much. This is normally we have
location case studies, and it's very interesting to hear from the perspective of what happens when a dispute goes to court. And also the complexity of putting together a case together, especially as a landmark case that is transboundary issue. What I would like to do is ask you, please stay with us for a little moment. We will see if there are some questions in a moment, but first of all, I would actually like to move over to some reflections. So thank you so much, Saul. Very interesting. So I'd like to move directly over to some reflections for which we kindly have Professor Emeritus Philip Hirsch to give some comments, bringing together giving an overview of these three very interesting cases. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Daniel. Can I just check before I start? Can the speakers, can Kun Wichit and Saw hear me or not? Kun Wichit ได้ยินไหมครับสอได้ยินไหมครับ Maybe not. Okay, I guess we have to work within the technology that we have, and this is for the audience. But well, first of all, thank you, Daniel, and thank you to the three speakers very much for, as you know, Daniel said at the beginning, a very diverse set of experiences and perspectives on the issue that's the title of this session, that is land grabbing. Before commenting directly on the cases, I think it's useful just to go back and remind ourselves where this term and this concern about land grabbing came from. It's not an issue that's unique to Thailand or Cambodia or the Mekong region. The land grabbing phenomenon is a global phenomenon, and many people trace it back about 14 years now to the 2008 so-called food crisis or spike in food prices, and the concern that the world needed to put more investment in agricultural production, into in some cases opening up new land, or in many cases converting land to try to deal with food production. And this is also traced to the World Bank's annual development report that came out at this time, which encouraged much more investment in food production. And this was seen as a way to encourage capital, to encourage large-scale investment in land-based production, which in many countries was then associated with some changes in regulations, with encouragement of large-scale land concessions, and therefore the so-called global land grab, as large-scale investment came along, not only to invest in food production, but to invest in land itself. And in turn, this was partly also driven by the collapse of other kinds of markets in the US and globally, meaning that land became seen as a sort of safe investment. So much of the money coming into land was not necessarily to address this issue of providing more food for the world's hungry, but it was about making money for those who had spare financial resources to invest in land. The problem with the emergence of this term, the land grab, was that it was too simplistic, and that it tended to hide the complexity, the variety of different ways in which money was gaining control over land. So it also has led then to many actions and also many studies that address the specific cases of ways in which people are deprived of their land, evicted from their land, precluded from accessing land as a basic source of livelihood. And I think all three of these cases seen together show us that we're looking at land for industrial development and infrastructure development in the case of the Eastern Economic the Eastern Economic Corridor, or so-called Eastern Seaboard. We're looking at the case of land for conservation in the case of national parks, but also, as Mr. Wichit was saying, finding ways for larger scale interests to gain access to land in place of farmers, or in the case of Cambodia, to look at ways in which large companies from relatively wealthier countries in the region, Thailand, can access land of the rural poor in the poorer countries like Cambodia. So we're looking at agriculture, we're looking at tourism, we're looking at conservation, we're looking at industrial development. So land grabbing is clearly a very complex and diverse phenomenon. And it raises a question in my mind of whether it's actually a very useful term or whether we need to think about something more specific. That's one point. Second point I'd like to sort of just bring out is that what we're talking about is not just about land. We're essentially talking about power and the use and abuse of power by state and by business interests. This is something which comes out in all three of the cases quite clearly. And I won't say any more because I think that's quite obvious. But what I would like to talk about a bit more is, and I should say that I hadn't heard these cases before, so I'm really commenting on what I heard this afternoon, and I'm sure we have much more that each of the speakers can tell us. But what I'd like to comment about is what comes out in terms of how we look at law and land in the three cases. There's a lot of talk, when we talk about use and abuse of power in the Mekong region, there's a lot of talk about rule by law instead of rule of law. Rule of law in Thai, nitikam. So the idea of rule of law is that we have a common set of rules which apply to everyone equally and provide a basis for justice. Rule by law is the use of law by those in positions of power to achieve their own ends by their control over the issuing of law and the implementation and enforcement of law. So these are two quite different things. And I think that the three cases represent different sorts of ways in which we can understand land grabbing through the idea or the lens of law. In the first case, what we saw was that after the parliamentary regime was overthrown by the military coup in 2014, the governing junta, the governing regime, created laws to achieve its own interests. So the Tuang Khun Puen Pa, the forest reclamation project was one of those. Another was the creation of special provisions in the law in the case of special economic zones, which in effect circumvented, got around the existing requirements for use of certain kinds of land for certain kinds of activities. For example, it said that in these places we don't need to follow the laws of the Agricultural Land Reform Act. It said also we don't need to conduct the same environmental assessments that we would otherwise do. So in this case, this is you could say rule by law in the case of the creation of special provisions in particular places to achieve the ends of the military-led government of the time. The second case, which I found really, really interesting and inspiring of Montjem, was not so much the creation of new law, but it was the enforcement of law in a very selective way. The law on people living in forest reserves has been around since 1964 for nearly, for more than 50 years, for 58 58 years. And as we all know, and as many people in this room are dealing with, millions of people in Thailand are living in very insecure in a very insecure situation because they live inside forest reserve, they live on land from which they can be evicted at any time. In fact, the number of people physically evicted or who've had their homes destroyed by bulldozers or burned down in Thailand is relatively small, but the threat is always there. And so again, it comes back to rule by law, the selective use of power when the state sees fit. But I think a bit more optimistically, the third case that Saw told us about in such interesting detail shows that law is not static, or the ways that the law can be pushed beyond the ways in which it's been used before. And I think that this case of extraterritorial obligations, that is the obligations of actors in one country to follow the laws of that country even when their economic activities are in another country, is a really important one in this region because there are so many investments from Thailand, from China, from Vietnam in countries like Laos and Cambodia and Myanmar. So the case, as I heard it, was a really important example of where we're looking at rule by law, but it also takes a creative, a brave, and a very difficult action, a class action in this case, to try to achieve justice. And as we heard from Saw, we're still awaiting the outcome. I can only imagine the challenges of, for example, securing evidence when the people giving evidence are living in very, very difficult circumstances, not only difficult because they've lost their land, but also because they're living under a regime that doesn't tolerate much dissent or doesn't want to be embarrassed through this sort of evidence coming out. So I can only imagine what that involves. I guess before I finish and hand over, I'd just like to make one more point about Khun Vichit's presentation, which I found very interesting. Like many people living in Chiang Mai, like myself, who've been to Chiang Mai, Monjam is one of the places that's really interesting to visit. And I think it's fair to say that when an outsider first arrives in Monjam, you're really struck by the landscape. All of these resorts, all of these hundreds of bungalows and so on this mountaintop. And for many outsiders, the first thing is to be a bit taken aback and a bit even shocked by this. So I think that the case that Mr. Vichit was presenting is so interesting because it shows that outsiders have certain expectations of what a nice hilltop indigenous village should look like. But why do we have these expectations? What sort of value systems are we imposing on people about how their lives should be lived? Many of us in this room and many people who work with civil society organizations are keen to present pictures of sustainable rotational farming among Karen communities practicing traditional lives, and that's seen as okay. But as soon as people start to make money, as Khun Vichit said, and as soon as people start to maybe create structures that look a bit too modern or a bit too developed, then outsiders start to become quite critical. But shouldn't we be critical about ourselves rather than about the way people choose to live? I was most interested to hear Khun Vichit's final comments, which is that, they outsiders just want us to do sustainable farming. But how can we do this when we're constrained in this small area, which is really only big enough to build our residential houses? Isn't tourism actually the answer here? So I think that the challenge that the case of Mr. Wichit and Monjam presents to us is something which should make us think critically not only about the government and the paramilitary people who are acting so rashly and you could say cruelly, but maybe we should also ask about ourselves as well, and who's making decisions on whose behalf when it comes to the ways in which land in a place like this should be used. And with that, I'll leave it and back to Daniel for questions or further comments.
Thank you so much, Phil. Very interesting analysis there, some kind of very thought-provoking comments. I will open up, since we're a bit over time anyway, but I will open up for any questions. Does anyone have a question for any of the three panelists, or also any reaction to Phil's comments just now? Don't be shy. I will give you a chance to think of something. Yes.
I haven't got the first part of what Phil just said because I was away, but I'm not sure if you have been. Because our speakers today are all Thai, and I think actually in the region, the very hot issues of land is Cambodia, and we have so many Cambodian friends here. I'm not sure if you already kind of, compare a little bit between these two countries, and I don't know if we have time. I still would like to hear something from our Cambodian friends as well about their situation after they listen to the Thai cases, and of course Yen Jay as well, but from the lawyer perspective. There, you want? Yeah. So, Phil not say something, right? You want somebody that here? Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's much better to hear from our friends from Cambodia about, because as you said, most of the cases were either from Thailand or from a Thai legal perspective about what's happening in Cambodia. But I think it's much better to hear from our Cambodian friends about what's going on and how they compare.
Okay, can we have somebody from here to share a little bit? Because this morning when we introduced ourselves, I think more than half of the people from Cambodia here came from the land campaign area. សូមអញ្ជើញ
ចាជំរាបសួរបងប្អូនភ្ញៀវជាតិអន្តរជាតិនិងបងប្អូននៅប្រទេសថៃនាងខ្ញុំនៅខេត្តកំពង់ឆ្នាំងទេប៉ុន្តែក៏មានបញ្ហាដីធ្លីដែរហើយបញ្ហាដីធ្លីរបស់នាងខ្ញុំគឺរយៈពេល20ឆ្នាំហើយគឺអត់ទាន់មានដំណោះស្រាយអីទេហើយក្រុមហ៊ុនហ្នឹងគឺគេមកយកដីរបស់ពួកខ្ញុំគឺឈូសផ្ទះពួកខ្ញុំចោលតែម្ដងមកទល់បច្ចុប្បន្ននេះអត់មានសំណងអីសម្រាប់ពួកខ្ញុំទេហើយផ្ទះរបស់ពួកខ្ញុំត្រូវគេឈូសចោលអស់ តាំងពីឆ្នាំ2003មកទល់បច្ចុប្បន្ននេះក្រុមហ៊ុនអត់ទទួលខុសត្រូវអត់មានសំណងអីសូម្បីតែមរៀលលុយខ្មែរក៏អត់មានដែរចាហើយសួរថាយើងជាម្ចាស់ដីសួរថាយើងជាម្ចាស់ដីរស់នៅយូរណាស់ហើយតាំងពីមុនច្បាប់ភូមិបាលចាញ់មកម្លេះតាំងពី82រហូតមកដល់ឆ្នាំនិយាយរួមទៅយើងរស់នៅតាំងពី79 82រហូតមកមានរស់នៅបន្តបន្ទាប់ប៉ុន្តែបែរជាយើងរស់នៅខុសច្បាប់ហើយក្រុមហ៊ុនមករស់នៅក្រុមហ៊ុនមកយកនៅឆ្នាំ2000ហើយបែរយើងជាពលរដ្ឋទៅរស់នៅខុសច្បាប់ទៅវិញហើយការដែលរស់នៅមានអាជ្ញាធរដែនដីគឺទទួលស្គាល់ប៉ុន្តែបែរជាកោតចោទថាយើងនឹងរស់នៅខុសច្បាប់ទៅវិញតើសួរថាយើងជាម្ចាស់ដីយើងដែលច្បាប់បានចែងមកច្បាប់ក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាក៏ចែងថាពលរដ្ឋមានសិទ្ធិរស់នៅលើដីខ្លួនឯងប៉ុន្តែធាតុពិតពលរដ្ឋដូចជាខ្ញុំជាដើមត្រូវបាត់បង់សិទ្ធិមួយគឺសិទ្ធិគ្រប់គ្រងដីខ្លួនឯងបាត់បង់ផ្ទះសម្បែងបាត់បង់ការងារចាការងារក៏ត្រូវគេបញ្ឈប់ចោលផ្ទះក៏ត្រូវគេឈូសឆាយអស់ចាហើយមកទល់ពេលនេះសហគមន៍នាងខ្ញុំគឺអត់ទាន់បានទទួលនូវភាពយុត្តិធម៌សម្រាប់ពួកខ្ញុំទេហើយខ្ញុំសូមប្រាប់ឈ្មោះក្រុមហ៊ុនគឺក្រុមហ៊ុន KDC KDC នេះប្រធានក្រុមហ៊ុនគឺឈ្មោះជាខេងជាប្រពន្ធរបស់រដ្ឋមន្ត្រីស៊ុយសែមជាអ្នកមានអំណាចនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាខ្ញុំបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះចា
And yeah, sorry, such a long story, but I will try my best to recap. Like in my case, I also facing with the land grabbing for more than 20 years, and it was happened around 2003. But actually, people has been living there since 1982, like before the company. But what I am so like depressed. Seem like the company just come. They are become legal, but people has been living there for many years become illegal, and they clear our house, and until now we didn't get any justice. And she mentioned that this is not just only losing the land, but also based on like a protest or like a like protest again and again. She lost the job, and people has been displaced. Yeah. And she said she would like to inform that the name of the company, meaning KDC, the owner is the wife of Ministry of Energy. We call the wife, Jia Keng, and the husband is Soy Sam, mean the Ministry of Energy, mean one of the top of the like a big, I mean a big guy of the Cambodian. So it បងនិយាយមិន
ចាបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះពួកខ្ញុំអត់ទាន់បានទទួលបាននៅយុទ្ធធម៌ទេហើយក្រុមហ៊ុនបានត្រឹមតែមកពាត់ដីពួកខ្ញុំចោលអត់ធ្វើអីទាំងអស់គឺយកដីពាត់ចោលតែទេអត់មានធ្វើអីទេហើយអត់ទុកដីឲ្យពួកខ្ញុំធ្វើស្រែទេធ្វើឲ្យជីវភាពរបស់ពួកខ្ញុំគឺលំបាកមែនទែនហើយប្រជាពលរដ្ឋមួយចំនួនគឺភៀសខ្លួនមករកស៊ីនៅប្រទេសថៃនេះហើយកូនចៅមួយចំនួនគឺបាត់បង់ការសិក្សាតើសួរថាអ្នកណាជាអ្នកទទួលខុសត្រូវចំពោះសហគមន៍របស់ពួកយើងខ្ញុំអត់មានយុត្តិធម៌ដីក៏គ្មានការងារក៏បាត់បង់ចាគឺអយុត្តិធម៌ណាស់សម្រាប់ពួកខ្ញុំបើក្រុមហ៊ុននោះយកដីទៅអភិវឌ្ឍធ្វើអីគឺអត់មានតតែម្ដងចាគឺពាត់ល្មងចោលដីនៅទៅទេទុកឲ្យពួកយើងស្ថិតនៅក្នុងភាពក្រីក្រចាគ្មានដីធ្វើស្រែនិងគ្មានដីសម្រាប់លំនៅឋានគឺរស់នៅយ៉ាងវេទនាបំផុត
She said that until now the protest have no justice for them. The company just like make the fan to like shift their land without allowing people to access or making any farm, or they just leave the land empty. So people are displaced. Some are migrating to Thailand, and some children like cannot have the opportunity for study. This is like so injustice for her community. Yeah, thank you. So other participants want to see?
ចាជំរាបសួរនាងខ្ញុំឈ្មោះភាពតេងជាតំណាងឲ្យសហគមន៍ដីធ្លីមកពីខេត្តកោះកុងចានាងខ្ញុំមានបញ្ហារឿងដីធ្លីដែលក្រុមហ៊ុនឆ្កអំពៅបានមកចូលឈូសឆាយដីតំបន់នាងខ្ញុំកាលពីដំបូងឡើយមកនាងខ្ញុំរស់នៅតាំងពីកាន់កាប់តាំងពី95មកគឺពួកយើងសបោសបាយមកហូបអាហារបបួអាចដាក់និសាទអីបានហូរហាហើយយើងដំណាំហើយយើងដាំយករហ័តចា
Okay, my name is Teng from Koh Kong, yeah, and my community has been like living there since 1995. At that time, people are like can fishing, farming over there, yeah. ទៀតបងទៀតខ្លីៗបាទ ចាដល់ពេលនៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ2006មកមានកោះកុង PlayStation N P Limited របស់អុកញ៉ាលីយ៉ុងផាត់បានចូលឈូសឆាយយកដីប្រជាពលរដ្ឋនៅភូមិខ្ញុំអស់ហើយមកដល់បច្ចុប្បន្ននេះមានបញ្ហាប្រឈមជាច្រើនដូចជានាងខ្ញុំផ្ទាល់មានជាប់ប្រព័ន្ធតុលាការពីករណីហើយមួយទៀតកូនចៅបាត់បង់ការសិក្សាហើយបាត់បង់ជីវៈចម្រុះដោយសារឲ្យប្រើគេពីគេដាំអំពៅហ្នឹងវាអាចប៉ះពាល់ដល់ជីវៈចម្រុះហើយប្រើថ្នាំពុលហើយមួយទៀតក្នុងការបំពាក់បំណុលធនាគារធ្វើឲ្យប្រជាពលរដ្ឋខ្ញុំលាក់ក្នុងសភាពក្រីក្រហើយប្រើអំពើហិង្សាក្នុងគ្រួសារហើយកូនបាត់បង់ក្នុងការសិក្សាហើយនៅដល់ពេលនេះមិនទាន់មានដំណោះស្រាយទេក្នុងការឬអាជ្ញាធរអីអត់មានដំណោះស្រាយជូនពួកខ្ញុំទេមានតែដាក់សង្កៀបសង្កត់លើពួកខ្ញុំមិនអោយពួកខ្ញុំធ្វើការតវ៉ាឬរយុត្តិធម៌ជូនពួកខ្ញុំទេ So since 2006 we call like a Koh Kong plantation led by the Lee Yong Phat tycoon one of the powerful like a man in Cambodia start to operate the sugar cane plantation. So at that time, people start losing their like a traditional job by because the company are using the chemical spray, so it can be like manipulate the river and also it can increase the violence among the domestic violence among the family and some students like cannot go to school and until now there is no solution. For our community as local authority always like intimidate or suppress whenever we would like to like claim our land back from the company. Okay, that's all. Yeah.
Are there any more comments from this group? Thank you so much for these comments. I think this really hits home how such cases impact upon people, upon lives, upon communities. And whilst we may be privileged here to kind of be talking about land grabs, conceptual terms, that these are things that are having profound effects on the ground. So thank you so much for giving us those very heartfelt comments. Before we head towards the end of the session, are there any further comments that people would like to give, reflections or questions? Whilst people are thinking, I would actually like to see how, first like to make a comment. I had a quick look at the Facebook page and to show how these sort of issues chime around the region. There's a comment here, I am so sorry our voices have not brought Sombat home. Is a comment. Now this refers to Sombat Sombon in Laos, a land activist who disappeared, how many years? 10 years ago. So it's interesting that this comment is put there, that talking about these issues brings up reactions from around the region. The other comment I would like to make is that we are fortunate here in Bangkok that we can have this discussion here. We are fortunate that we are able to had the openness to be streaming this on Facebook Live. But that is not the case around the region. When I first was helping to put together this panel, I was asking around colleagues in Myanmar. And very quickly, we were very clear to us that we cannot have anyone come and talk about any situation at the present time on land, because to be seen in public is too risky. A similar situation in Cambodia at the moment is that it's quite risky at the moment to speak out. So I think it's also credit to Yang that she continues this week, and we can, from this platform, we are able to try and give a voice to some of these cases and these situations, and that we can hear from people such as the group from Cambodia. Thank you very much from your situation. Is there another? Yes.
I would like to raise another issue that maybe we can hear from Phil or the other to reflect on this. I think now the issue of the global warming and the idea of carbon credit, right? That make people, you can create the so maybe make it short. In Thailand now, many companies propose to rent the forest land in many areas, especially in the coastal area, the mangrove, to grow the forest for carbon credit. Right? So, of course, this will be claim many common land of people, especially the fishery community. So the question, we don't know when they're growing this forest, how can they allow local community who usually access to those resources for their livelihoods can be. So this is a kind of like another green, right, a policy that coming, and it looked like the complexity is like the company would take 90% of benefit, and 10% we are not clear yet for local or for the state. But anyway, overall this project look like, so this is for solving the global problem. This is also solving our country problem by increasing forest land, something like that, and creating a job for local people, something. So that I think it might be going very, very widespread in Thailand, because instead of reducing fossil fuel, burning for electricity, they better, easier for them, not for, to growing forests, right? To making, the carbon neutralization. Okay, maybe.
Yes, this is something we were talking about with Torn yesterday in the Save the Mekong meeting as well, about the way in which climate change, one way or another, has displacing effects. And I think the one we tend to think about most is the case that you talked about, the sort of carbon credits, the so-called RED Plus schemes that bring money into conservation. And as soon as there's money to be made, then it's those with the money, with the power, who try to claim the rights to manage resources over people who've been managing them for a long period of time. But there's many other ways as well. So, for example, in Vietnam, many of the hundreds of hydropower dams that have been built in the last 10, 15 years received subsidies through the so-called clean development mechanism. So projects that would otherwise be economically marginal or not profitable suddenly become profitable. And of course they have displacing effects. When we talk about climate change globally and its impact on displacement, most of the talk is about the ways in which environmental refugees will be created as lands become susceptible to flooding or drought or marginal for other reasons or as sea level rises. But much more immediate are the kinds of effects that you're talking about. They're not the physical effects of climate change, but if they're what we might call the institutional effects of climate change, that is, or the response to climate change. And I suppose an open question is whether that has to be the case. Do carbon credits always have to be captured by big companies? If it's going to happen, what are the mechanisms for money to be made, for livelihoods to become more viable, sustainable by many smallholders who've been managing complex forest agriculture landscapes for a long period of time? And that comes back again to the structures of power in the countries we're working in here. Unfortunately, whenever there's money to be made, it's usually a coalition of state and business partners who are very quick to jump in and take the opportunities. And it also, I think, comes back to the question of law, because so many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people are kept in a position of illegality. And most of the time it's not acted on. But as soon as there's money to be made, then this rule by law, use of law for displacement of people from mangrove areas or shifting cultivators from upland areas is used. So I think the phenomenon you're talking about is a good example, but it's an example of something much wider, a much sort of bigger issue to deal with.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you for your comments. I see here Saul has had to leave for another meeting. She is a busy lawyer. She has left us, and maybe this is quite, unless there are further questions, a quite nice way to give a final statement for this session. And she writes, thankfully for me, in English, and I'd like to read this out. She left this. I would like to leave my opinion here that the responsibility of company and government for the human rights violations needs to be implemented in every country. The government has a role of obligation to protect the people and environment, and corporate has duty to respect and give remedy. And I think this also ties very much to the idea of rule of law against rule by law. I think we will draw the session to a close now. I would like to thank all of our speakers. Pat, Mr. Vitchit, thank you so much for staying with us. I'm sorry we could not bring you more questions, but it's been a very interesting case to hear about Monjam, and I hope we will see you soon in Chiang Mai. Saul has already left us, but thank you for jumping in with updates on the court case. Thank you so much for the comments, for the brave comments from our audience. Phil, thank you so much for your reflections. I'd also like to give a big thanks to the technical crew here. It is not easy to try and set up these hybrid events where you've got videos, live people, virtual people, people in multiple languages. And I think you're doing a fantastic job to try and integrate all of these things together. So thank you from us. One more thing before we go. If you are interested in this topic and related issues, I think there is a new book coming out soon. Phil, would you like to say a couple of words on your... Okay. There is a new book of which Phil is one... Oh, it's already out. It's one of the Phil is one of the main editors of the book. Turning land into capital, and what's the subtitle? It's called Turning Land into Capital, Development and Dispossession in the Mekong Region, and I think it really taps into this regional view, looking at sort of a capitalist trends and the impact that it's had upon land. So it very much chimes with a lot of the issues we've seen today. So please do look out for that book around now. So thank you very much, everyone, and we will be ending the session now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and all the speaker, and also the commentator for this panel. So, because we now running out of time, and we are running behind the schedule as well, so we may don't give you a long break, but we may ask you to go out to take the snack inside, and then we continue the session.